Terrell Bernard, the captain.
This is the Coach's Smoke Barbecue Baylor postgame show on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Come back with Lane, and there goes Abram Smith to the house. Touchdown, Baylor Bears.
The Baylor postgame show is also presented by the Nitchie Group.
Young's going to have to hurry to get it underway. He does. Back to throw. Looking, throwing for the end zone, and it is. Was it incomplete in the end zone, but it doesn't matter. The game is over. The ball is down in the end zone, and Baylor has defeated Brigham Young University by a score of 40-36 in a thrilling and exciting football game.
Here's Paul Catalina.
Welcome in to the 365 Sports Sikkim 365 Radio post-game show, brought to you by Coaches XXX Smoke. Just a stone's throw from where we're sitting right now. So your post-game, whether you're BYU or Baylor, Coaches Smoke, hit them up.
Yep.
Paul Catalina, Brian Etheridge with you right here. And Brian, before we get to our callers, of which I'm sure there will be an abundant number, the chat and the text at 254-339-1122 on the BetUS caller line and the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line. Your 10 things?
10,
11? 10?
12.
12
things a day. Yeah.
Things with Brian. That's what we're going to call it. Things with Brian.
All right. So, number one, defense setting the tone early for both teams. That's what we saw early in the game. Then all of a sudden, Gary Bohannon gives his first interception. It's a poor read and triple coverage. I mean, that was something that just happened there and not something that we're expecting to see from Gary, but it is what happened. Offensive line then started functioning well as a unit, and then Abram Smith, I think he's just a tank. And then we started having the fun of Dylan Doyle with the fullback dive. So incredible to get that fullback dive again. And then who knew that Dave Aranda was a gambler? But I'm going to nickname him McKinney Rogers. I think that's acceptable. Paul?
Yep.
Okay. And then, the one thing you couldn't do is you can't key on the dive when you're on 4th and 1 and you got a mobile quarterback or the band's going to play, and it did. Dylan Doyle, it's his world. We're all just living in it. And then again, what can he do? He goes and gets the reception in the flat for the touchdown, and then follows it up with a sack in the next series. But then overall, the Baylor O-line punished BYU's D-line today. That's something we didn't expect earlier in the year. We are getting to see it now. I will give it up to BYU for not quitting. That's going to be a solid team in the Big 12. Welcome to the Big 12, BYU. And then Baylor is bowl eligible again. So get your tickets ready. Start saving your money. We're going bowling.
Yeah, and look, Brian, my thoughts right now are the sky's the limit if this team can continue playing like this. Okay, if you look down the rest of the schedule, after you beat a good team like BYU, and I know this is their second loss in a row, but 38-24, and it's not even that close, really. I mean, that Baylor – an interception in the end zone and a 4th down that you didn't get away from this thing being 52. Honestly, to me, being 52. And I'm not saying they would. I mean, that those things happen. You can't take them away, but they are in their own way of being that good right now. And the sky's limit. Like there's not teams that are coming up that are daunting anymore.
No.
I mean, there's teams that I think that they're going to have matchup issues with. I mean, Texas, I know they've lost. That's going to be a matchup problem. They got Bijan Robinson. He's a matchup problem for everybody. Oklahoma's a matchup problem for everybody they play. But TCU should scare Baylor fans a whole lot less. But I mean, it's still TCU's Gary Patterson.
TCU, yeah.
But and they've got they still have the toughest part of their schedule is now. I mean, this is the toughest part of the schedule. We have BYU and Texas and Oklahoma and TCU all down the line, and of course Texas Tech. But all of that, being said, this is a team right now that is playing very well within themselves. They've found an identity in offense, which they didn't have last year. They've reestablished their identity on defense, which, they bent and didn't break for the most part today. BYU's most of their offense was, 50-50 balls that they had, that Romney or Puka, I love that first name, Puka, that went up and got. Puka Nacua had a great game.
He's a great athlete and great wide receiver. It was good to see. You can appreciate it even though he's kicking your tail.
Yeah. So I mean, but Baylor, after a lot of those 50-50 balls, muscled up and created a turnover or got a sack, or they've done, like, that's what they've done, is after their mistakes, they've cleaned them up for the most part. Now there are some things that they leave wide open. That zone read was open all day, and I'm surprised that Hall didn't run it more, but they got to a point where they could not run it anymore. So just a really impressive win up and down and a physical mauling for Baylor. Again, 254-339-1122. Calls, texts, all of that stuff that we'll go into. Let's go to the BetUS caller line. And Steven in Virginia, thanks for your call.
Hey, guys. That was a pretty convincing win, wasn't it? At no point did I ever feel like that was in doubt. And the only doubt I have right now is, will Texas even hang with Baylor? And is there another loss outside of Oklahoma on the schedule?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's game to game in the Big 12. It really is, because you can put a lot on Texas for the last two fourth quarters, but Baylor still has to strap it up and go. I mean, so
the transitive property of football really shouldn't exist. I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, I think that Baylor and Texas, that's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah.
I think that Baylor, Oklahoma is going to be a dogfight, and in TCU as well. The only one that I'm looking at right now I think K-State could be, as that's in Manhattan, and then Texas Tech comes to Waco on the 27th, and that's going to, Matt Wells might be gone by then. So, that's the only one I'm thinking of that is not the one that's going to be a dogfight.
Well, here's what you have to look at. Football is not about the transitive property. It's about matchups.
Yeah.
Because let's just take Iowa and Purdue today. Now, taking aside the fact that Iowa did not play their best game or even close to it and played terribly, Purdue presents some matchup problems for them. Whatever Purdue, who's a very average team, does, Iowa didn't do well against. That's what football's about, is the matchups. There are sometimes, A&M had an excellent game plan against Alabama last week, especially defensively. And A&M was the first team all year that presented matchup problems for what Alabama does. And for example, the reason A&M was so good on offense, right? That they were so good on offense is it's the first team that Alabama's played that had guys like Devin A-Chain and Jalen Weidermeyer. A&M's been that same team for the weeks ahead. The quarterback wasn't getting them the ball. And so they had matchup problems. Does that mean that A&M's better than Alabama? No, they were a week ago. They probably aren't all of the time. Yep. So those are the kind of things that are going on, but matchups you have to look at. But what I will say, though, is that Baylor creates matchup problems for every team that they'll play.
Yes.
And so that's why I think that they're, do I think they'll win out? No, that's going to be really hard for anyone to do in this league.
Yes.
But do I think that they legitimately have a chance to? Yeah, I do. I don't think that they will. All right, let's go back to the phones and T-Rex. Get T-Rex before he gets into the post-game beverages.
He's probably in the container right now.
Yeah.
Ashley's digging him out.
Hey, my wife's standing here telling me to be good, so I guess I'll keep the jokes to a minimum. But, hey, line up the pins, get the ball out, because we're going bowling, Baylor Nation. How you like how that works? Sigum Bears, that's really all that matters. We're bowl eligible. If you took the over on the 5.5 wins, you just made money. I'm sure somebody put down a couple grand, maybe more. So we'll be looking for you to pay for our trip to Provo next year when we paint green and gold all over the state of Utah. I will give a shout out to the BYU fans. Man, they do travel. So if you're a Baylor fan, you ain't never been to an away game, wake up, smell the roses, and figure it out. Get to the away games. But I'll see you in 2 weeks for Bevo, baby. Fire up the grill because we're cooking steaks. Sigum Bears.
All right, there you go, T-Rex.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about it, and I'm going back to the game here for a second there, is Baylor's defensive line against the run has really stuffed the run the past games. I mean, they gave up a lot of yardage against Oklahoma State, but not on average. Jaron Hall, though, had his way with the secondary today. I mean, that was 22 out of 31, 342 yards and a touchdown. But Baylor, didn't really bend. They bent but not broke on that. But 342 yards in the air, and there's some balls that we all saw, and we're like, that should have been defended. So there needs to be some cleanup back there in the secondary.
Well, I mean, Ron Roberts is taking a chance of manning those cornerbacks up on the outside, and I don't think he's going to do that against Texas, and I don't think he's going to do that against Oklahoma. I really don't. Because
I think you have to against Texas. Just slow down Bijan Robinson.
Well, I guess we'll see. I think I think he might give him some safety help a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit more safety help. Jack from Houston. You're on Sick of 365
Yo, guys, there's only one person we need to talk about today, Mr. Dylan Doyle. Holy crap, he must have found out that a certain person might be coming to Waco today because, wow.
Yeah, that was impressive for Dylan Doyle, Jack, and thanks for your call. He really was. He was, look, fullback dive, you think, okay, well, that's great. Good for Dylan. You kind of thought that was over, right? After that, that was the time they're going to do it.
But there's more. And
then they ran that little flats route to him and worked. And again, if it's going to be open, they're going to take it. That's what I think I like about this offense. I was sitting next to Elliott Coffey when Dylan scored the second touchdown. I said, it's a different era. They would have never asked you. He goes, yeah, they didn't need my help, in that era because they were scoring so many points. But the way that Baylor is using all their athletes, I think is really impressive. I think that gives you all these different opportunities to do things, and Dylan Doyle clearly can do it. And of course, he had 2 touchdowns and a sack, and
the sack came on the series after the touchdown reception, and that's what what a refreshing way of watching the team play, and I think that they're just letting it all out there right now, and that's good to watch. And again, going for it on fourth down, the onside kick, where'd that come from?
Yeah, I mean, but that's the gambler stuff, and of course, one of the things I think he saw there was, you know what, they're going to get the ball back, and what's the difference?
Yeah,
and because he knew what they were going to do. If they got the ball back with the amount of time they had, he knew they were going to throw deep.
Yes.
So what's the difference between them throwing deep from the 31-yard line or wherever they might have wound up, the 25-yard line, or the 46?
Yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, not that much. You knew what they were going to do, so might as well take it. They weren't ready for it. It was my favorite onside kick, which is the kicker chase onside kick.
Yes.
Or the sneak attack.
Yeah.
And Noah Rauschenberg fell right on it.
Well, I don't think it was JT Woods. It was whoever was 22 besides him went and got a stick on the BYU player that was within 3 yards of the ball. Yeah. And Rauschenberg fell right on it.
Yeah, and I think the name of the game today for Baylor was physicality on both sides of the ball. Let's go to Matt in D.C. You're on the Bet US caller line.
Guys, thanks for taking my call, guys. Man, shout out to Dylan Doyle. I mean, I always say it. Every college linebacker was probably an all-district running back in high school, and same for the running backs are in college, played linebacker, so everybody can do it. Hey, if you just like Abram Smith, he's traded Abilene running back, and look at him now. It's like old Miles Jack at UCLA. What a game. Bowl eligible. I never take it for granted being a Baylor fan. Do not take it for granted. This is a big deal for us. Keep moving forward. My only critique of the game is to Dave Aranda. When it's the first drive in the first quarter, just take the points, man. And I understand if we're in the third or fourth quarter and we're playing a team that averages 45 points a game, we got to get the touchdown. But when it's that early in the game, we left 6 points off in the first half. And let's just learn from it and keep moving forward. But, hey, bowl eligible. Let's rest up, get ready for Texas. Thank y'all.
Yep, bye week next week. And I think the bye week comes at a really kind of interesting time for Baylor in that they're about as healthy as you're going to be through 7 games of a season, and they're hot and you can relax, which means that the guys that could come back have another week to come back and rest is where you wouldn't have to again. And sometimes you have that onus, like if you're a player and Texas is coming in. So if they beat BYU and Texas is coming in, you didn't play against BYU and you want to play against Texas, you might push it and not get as well as you can be. It's going to much needed, a really good time. I mean, week 8 for the bye, I like that for Baylor this year and how it sets up. Let's go to let's see, no text as of yet.
Okay.
254-339-1122.
I think Abram Smith probably would take a little bit of rest. I think that week off for him, he had 27 carries, 188 yards a day, seven a carry. I mean, Baylor averaged 7 a carry on 44, and you get 306 on the ground. Mm-hmm. That's a beating. I mean, as a defensive lineman, you're hating life at that, and your linebackers are hating it because you're getting pounded 7 yards down the field on every carry. it has been, the longest carry was, Ebner had a 37 and Abram had a 38, but the rest of that was all physical breaking tackles, and Abram punished their secondary when he broke through the line. It was several plays where they just went through there and hammered them, so it was great to see.
Yeah, Brian Kirkham on the chat room said they gave him a nice chunk of yards, but 250 of it just came on just 5 plays. That's true.
It is.
The 4 long passes and the long run by Hall. So really, you can clean a lot of that stuff up if you're Baylor on defense. And part of that might have been, look, they were going to make sure that BYU was not going to run the ball on them.
Yes.
They know what BYU wants to do because guess what? They've got a couple guys who spent a little time there. So they know what they want to do on offense and knew they're going to sell to stop the run. If they gave up some deep balls, then they gave up some deep balls. But they knew that their offense, and they knew they're going to physically overmatch them. This game was – I thought it was going to be a lot close. It looked like it was going to play out to be a really close game after that first half.
I thought that
it really did. Yeah. I thought it was going to play a really close game and one possession game. But what Baylor did in the third quarter to put the distance and really maul them physically was super impressive. And save for a couple self-inflicted wounds, I don't think you have much to say negative about Baylor. Like what did they do wrong today that gives you pause for the rest of the year? Not a whole lot. There were some things. Coverage, man-on-man coverage, they're vulnerable. That certainly, but that's not something that now, look, that's on film. It's on film for Baylor too. It's on film for everybody else. So you got to trust that Ron Roberts and staff will try to figure out a way to float to coverages that's not going to be that. Now, I think they probably were taking their chances because while those BYU receivers are good, they're not as fast as what you're going to see from Xavier Worthy or whatever. Maybe not quite as fast. So they're taking the chance that Tejada and Walcott and Barnes can run with them. But I think, when you do play Texas and Oklahoma and those teams, you're probably going to have to get a little more safety help.
Yeah.
But, and of course, Oklahoma, we'll see if they've truly found themselves tonight.
Yeah.
And they might have in the second half of that game last week.
Texas Tech found Kansas today, it looks like, 41-14 as well. So good job, Texas Tech, bouncing back there.
But, that's good.
Kansas.
Texas Tech has this weird schedule where they play like a good team in the Big 12 and a bad team in the Big 12. And a good team and a bad, and then that's about to end for them because they haven't played Texas they played Texas. They haven't played Oklahoma yet. They haven't played Oklahoma State.
Baylor.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've got on down the line. By the way, Oklahoma State today, what a fantastic comeback against Texas that they had. That's really impressive. They're not in any way what I say I like anything that they do on offense other than running the ball.
Yes.
But they just know how to hang around and beat you up physically on defense. I think Casey Thompson left the game for a play. Hudson Card came in, Casey Thompson came back in.
Yeah.
He wasn't the same after that.
Yeah.
They hit hard. They hit the quarterback. They hit him a lot, and they're good. Let's take a break right here. We'll come back with more of your calls, texts, and, of course, the chat room, 254-339-1122. This is the Coaches Smoak, Coaches Smoak, post-game show, 365 Sports, Sikkim 365 Radio. Back in a moment.
Masters of barbecue, kings of crazy good food, and the perfect sanctuary for sports, beer, and barbecue. It's Coach's XXX Smoak on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and also on Highway 84 in McGregor. A menu filled with choices like a great offensive playbook, including 3 meat combos with sides, burgers, and sandwiches, wings, loaded giant spuds, and salads. Crazy wings, chicken poppers, big boy fries, and smoking quesadillas, just some of their amazing appetizers. There's Coach Big Ol' Draft Beer, or order Zach's Spicy Bloody Mary or Coach's Margaritas and Mimosas while watching your favorite team play. Great pecan smoked barbecue, fun atmosphere with attention to detail, including a catering menu, and we'll quote your price to fit your budget. Coach's XXX Smoak on Austin Avenue in downtown Waco and walking distance to the great places to shop and enjoy, and also the original location on Highway 84 in McGregor. Great food, great price, great fun. Eat where the locals eat.
The 2021 Ram brand just received first place in the prestigious J.D. Power's Initial Quality Study. The Dodge brand finished second to Ram, and the 2021 Jeep Gladiator is first among all midsize trucks. Quality and Ram Power Days, only at Allen Samuels, 201 West Loop 340.
Come by, let's be friends.
did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Call us on the BetUS hotline, 254-339-1122.
Welcome back into the Coach's Triple X Smoke Postgame Show. Paul, Catalina, Brian Etheridge, Armstrong Sims produces 254-339-1122. Let's dive into the Riverbend text line. Did you mention we're bowl eligible? Yeah, you know what? I probably haven't said it personally. I mean, they're bowl eligible. You did.
I said it, yeah.
You said it. Bowl eligible, yes. But that's a big deal. It's not like for this team it's the bottom of their checklist. It's on there.
I'm going to say this. There will be a Sikkim 365 package wherever we go. So just wait. We're going to put a big hotel together, buy out the hotel. We're going to have a party. If it's in Dallas or Houston or wherever, we're going to go and we're going to have a good time. So let's see where Baylor goes. Let's go have fun. Like we did in New Orleans. I mean, we sold out. Well, now the building's gone. Rest its soul from the hurricane. We sold that building out, and there was danger.
Yeah, I'm a little foggy from the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, I remember having a band. We were trying to pay them to walk us down the street at that point. Yeah.
From Rod Webb. Dominated both lines of scrimmage. Love it. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All righty.
Yeah.
From the 512, I was rough on the Baylor staff after OK State, but they may have gotten better every week. But they have gotten better every week, and OK State is doing their thing, too, with a big win today. Ready to go bowling. Sikkim. And Jake the Snake, a lot of good red zone creativity today. Also, motion pre-snap throughout the game. Great example of jet sweeps with Ebner and Estrada. Yeah, all that stuff worked. All that stuff worked real well.
Here it is if Baylor beats Oklahoma, or is it going to be Baylor Oklahoma State in the championship game at this point? If Baylor can get by Texas, I mean, of course,
that's all on Bedlam, but yeah,
it is. It's going to be interesting to watch because I'm sort of thinking Oklahoma State's going to be in that game.
I still think they're probably going to get beat. I mean, they're just so blah on offense,
but the defense is really a strong defense,
and they find a way to found a way to hang around today. Mm-hmm. They just hang around and hang around. So if they can navigate Spencer Sanders, then then they can get there. Yeah. Back to the chat room. Anyone? Big 12 ate its own a little bit with the Baylor win over BYU from Keith, but since he continues to roll, and Okie State, Richard McKinney, the real question is will Texas get to a bowl game? Yeah, I think they're going to win two more games. I mean,
have they played Kansas? Oh,
nope.
Oops, hold on. Wait.
Yeah, well,
sorry. Yeah, hang on a second.
But yeah, they still had to play Kansas, and they'll get there. They just may not be in as good as a bowl game as they thought just a few weeks ago.
I mean, it may be the Armed Forces Bowl or something like that, but they'll get there. They're 4-3.
Yeah.
So then playing Baylor, if Baylor wins, that's 4-4, and Baylor will be 7-1. If not, 5-2 and 4-5-3. So.
Yeah, but if you've got to 4 wins and you've got 4 or 5 games left, which most teams do, then I think you should be all right.
You got a pretty good shot at it
to get to 2, to get to 2 more, and really impressive. Treston Ebner's been a little bit absent the last couple weeks, yes. But that was also. Oklahoma State did a great job on Treston Ebner and just locked him up.
Yes.
And then locked everybody up. Save Abram Smith for one time. But they then West Virginia, I think, kind of tried to take him away specifically, but it didn't matter because I don't think he was all that much of the game plan. Today, it was nice to see Ebner back in being Ebner and them doing things with him that make a little bit more sense. Treston Ebner at the next level, should he be an NFL player, and I think he's gonna get a really good shot at the NFL. Is going to be a slot wide receiver. That's what he's going to be. He's not really a running back, but Baylor needs him to be a running back, so he is a running back. But they moved around, did a lot of cool things with him today, and I'm curious to see what I want to keep seeing that Abram at fullback, him at tailgate.
Oh yeah,
fake option dive kind of thing that they're doing, and what can come off of that.
Yeah, so. Abram is a tough football player, and I think someone mentioned earlier about Miles Jack, and I think that's something the NFL teams could look at him as, because he has played linebacker, he does play and plays running back now. He is physical, not afraid of contact, and if you get a guy on your team that can take 2 roster spots plus play special teams, you have an opportunity to make this stick on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a very, very he was a really good linebacker, and he's a very good running back, and he's the kind of running back that works in the NFL even as a backup because he goes that way.
He plants his foot and goes, and he doesn't. He's not shy of contact. He doesn't dance, and I think last year that would have. Everyone been very frustrated at him if he'd been playing in that offense last year, trying to go side to side. In this offense, the crease, he busts through it and goes.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, Armstrong, tell him he whiffed again. Tell him he whiffed again.
Who we got whiffing?
Bigfoot.
Oh, he tried in. He tried to come in. Armstrong told me I met him today.
Ah, really?
Yeah, I didn't know it.
Yeah.
He didn't introduce himself as Bigfoot, but supposedly he was at our tailgate.
Oh, so the secret's out.
Yeah.
I think he's coming in as Barbara.
Yes. Again, it's not going to happen.
He really wants it.
I know he does. This is what has 2 thumbs and doesn't give 2 craps right here.
He did give Armstrong stories, though. That's the good part.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's going to tell us Armstrong stories one day. We're going to have a lullaby.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's there we go.
So, Mike, I'm going to mess your name up, Mike, but Herema, maybe? If I messed it up, sorry about that. I'm trying to roll your R's, and I can't speak Spanish or even try to get that. But he's asking, is anyone else amazed at how quickly the O-line has improved? I am somewhat, but I also knew what Mateos, what he was capable of. I mean, you put Sean Bell in the O-line coach position, it's not always, that's not something he was coaching. He's a great coach. And you see the quarterback plays done better this year because he was a quarterback. But having someone who was O-line.
Yeah. I think, part of the thing was Sean Bell coaching the O-line. I think that was the way to get Sean on the staff at the time. Well, and Sean knows those kind of things, but I don't think that was ever a long-term move.
No, it was the opening once De Leon got hurt, and Sean had to move into that role. So he was sort of forced into that role versus being an O-line guru or O-line like Mateos is. And the interesting thing is Mateos came, what would I sometimes think what would have happened if Pugh would have been the name, would it be this as good? And I'm not sure. But, I mean, Mateos has done wonders with
and he was – Eric Mateos, talking to people that know the coaching circles, is a rising star in the business. And I am a little – I'm not surprised that they're better. I'm surprised they're this much better. Yeah. Because I thought the cavern they had fallen into was a little bit deeper. But clearly it wasn't. Part of that – and I think that it's hard to quantify because of COVID.
Yes.
Because it affects people differently. But I do think that, one, the offensive line wasn't very good to begin with last year. There wasn't continuity. And then you throw onto that a debilitating sickness that they all got.
Yeah.
And then, you get COVID, Brian, you can stay away from work for a couple weeks, you can come back and do your job, and you're probably not all that affected. But if you have to hit another 300-pound guy for 60 minutes on a Saturday, believe me, it's different.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think the guys who had COVID ever really got over it until the offseason when they could truly get healthy, which is when, if you have an elbow problem you play through or a broken finger or whatever, the only time you ever really get healthy is when you stop playing football.
Yeah.
And so when you stop playing football for a couple months, but when they got truly healthy and then they got in the weight room, they got, into the conditioning, that was, and everybody's giving credit to Mateos, and as well they should. But the bigger move, I think, was the move at strength coach to reevaluate what they were doing there and changing the strength and conditioning staff's kind of overall mission with what they wanted, especially out of the big guys. Mm-hmm. I think was a big thing, and that's why we're sitting here looking at Baylor where they are right now.
I've had some very positive reports today at the tailgate from people talking about the wait staff and how their kids feel about it, and it was one thing to how they loved the previous staff and the previous strength staff that was here, then was let go, and now that they're in, the new staff's in, they love them even more. So it is interesting, and they did have different philosophies on strength and on how to produce it. And I think on the O-line too, you can't just say Mateos. You have to also recognize Jacob Gall and Grant Miller transferring in as a grad transfers, because they've started every game. And those two guys have made a good, side by side, are making holes. Newman sliding over to left guard, allowing those two guys to form, and now Newman's not trying to make calls at center. The one that's stepping up right now, I think you either had to talk about Khalil Keith out at tackle or Gavin Byers, or both of them, that have made a difference compared to last year.
Yeah. By the way, from a BYU fan from the 385, I just hope for you guys' sake that LSU doesn't fire Orgeron and go after Aranda. After how well Baylor has done so far, it's probably going to be really tempting for them. I don't think, as much as they love Aranda, I don't think that that's the fish that they're trying to catch. And I don't think Aranda would necessarily be interested in jumping back into that, because there's some off-the-field stuff that the next coach has to clean up, and I don't think Dave Aranda is interested in getting.
No, I think Dave Aranda is pretty happy where he is.
I think he's happy. I think Dave Aranda is so cerebral. Here's the thing I know about Dave Aranda. He's not a climber, because after Wisconsin, he could have been a head coach like that. But he went to LSU, and so he was looking for his right spot.
Yes.
Dave Aranda is a kind of a Kirk Ferentz type, I think, in find the right spot. That's not to say that Dave Aranda is going to be here for 30 years. I don't know that. That's not how coaching works anymore. But I don't think he's ripe to leave a place after 2 years.
No.
He's so deeply cerebral and entrenched in what he's doing that for him to uproot and leave is not who's got a whole head coaching job?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll go there, because he's going to ask every question. Like, is this really what's best? Can you really be successful and win at this place? Also wanted to say, totally agree on Grimes. Due to total study, he was a big part of BYU's success in the late 2000s. I was super bummed, but not totally surprised when he left. And good luck rest of the year. Destroy TCU, please. Yeah, we forget this. BYU doesn't care for TCU either.
Oh, no.
That's going to be their biggest rival jumping into this conference.
I was tweeting last night. I think somebody said, it was TCU's fault about something, and I said, did we become best friends? Here's the thing. I want to say this about the BYU fans. Thank you. I mean, this is what the new Big 12 is going to be. They helped fill the stadium. I mean, the stadium was overflowing. The amount of BYU fans I saw coming down 35 this morning from Dallas, the amount of BYU fans I saw outside at the tailgates, The amount of BYU fans.
Did you see Brazos Park?
Oh, no, I was in Brazos Parking. It is packed.
Oh, no, the Brazos Park East.
Oh, no,
today.
It's
they had a gigantic tailgate. It was unbelievable.
Well, and that's the way Baylor fans. We need to start doing that. I think that's what I'm saying about the bowl game. Let's get the hotel, buy the hotel out, have a Sikkim 365 hotel, have the base of it. Let's all get together, do things like that. That's why they organized it. We have a big enough community to do that. We have a big enough show here. We take the show on the road there, right? Armstrong would be okay with that, I imagine, going up, and Jack and everybody else, and David and Craig, and we can be there for 3 or 4 days. We can have a good time. We can do all these kind of things and have all the people come by. They did it. They showed that's how you do it. I mean, we haven't really seen that in the Big 12 from other schools. I mean, when TCU comes to town, you see that. You see it some with Texas. But this was a real showing, and they put on a party for their people, and they had made an event out of it. And I think that's something Baylor fans probably should emulate on the road next year at Provo.
If anybody watches our show and wonders why BYU was the first call, look at the stadiums where they go.
They're excited.
That's the first, but also the fact that that at least one game a year are probably going to have a sellout, because when even in places don't tell, like TCU and BYU will sell out, and TCU doesn't sell out that often.
No.
But yeah, Baylor fans need to do that. That was, they need to do. Every fan base needs to do what BYU does. Do that.
They enjoy their team. They follow their team. They're loyal to their team, and they go out of their way to go to those games. And I mean, again, you're seeing just chartered buses coming down 35. I was excited. I mean, it got me fired up for the game to go out there and watch it. And once Baylor took control, I was like, well, I hope all the Baylor fans realize that they're still there, still cheering for their team, even though they're down, 21.
Yeah.
But in the Final Four.
Only left when it was
needing the ball out, essentially, yeah.
All right, let's take one last break. We'll come back here, wrap up some calls and texts and whatnot. 254-339-1122. This is the 365 Sports Postgame Show, brought to you by Coaches Triple X Smoke, Sikkim 365 Radio.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
For a limited time, refinance your vehicle and have 90 days with zero payments. Only at Genco FCU. Refinancing lowers your rate and you pay less for your car. You can't pass on rates as low as 1.75% for 48 months. Apply online today.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. Go to GencoFCU.org. NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
Welcome back to the 365 Sports Postgame Show, brought to you by coaches XXX Smoak, Paul Catalina, Brian Etheridge here on Sikkim 365 Radio. All right, wrapping things up here again. Unbelievable, Armstrong. It's unbelievable, the resolve of certain anonymous people on the caller line. But Baylor wins 38-24 over BYU in a game that, Baylor has played three really good teams this year. Iowa State, I think is still really good.
I agree.
Oklahoma State's really good.
Yeah.
And BYU is really good. Oklahoma State's clearly the best team they've played.
Yes.
And the other two they've handled pretty well. And I know Iowa State almost came back, but this is a team that, you know, you're starting to see some of those guys. I mean, not a whole lot of Aranda guys so far. I mean, Apuika, obviously, is an Aranda guy, and they've got, you know, a couple transfers, but some of those guys, the rule guys, are starting to come in, and you're starting to see because they're veteran guys.
Yes.
Matt Rule recruited because he knew that when you're a junior and a senior, you're the best. And those juniors and seniors are that now. So we're not only seeing Dave Aranda's vision come to life for this particular season, but you're starting to see the continuation of what Matt Rule, the foundation that he planted. And it really shows how much last year was a complete just outlier.
Yep.
Complete outlier. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. And this, to me, is truly year one for Dave Aranda.
Yeah.
That was last year was like year zero. It doesn't quite count. I mean, I know it counts, but it doesn't. I don't think when you look at the grand scheme of what Dave Aranda does at Baylor, that will be the footnote of the, like, by the way, this is how we had to start out. You know,
he is now 500 as coach, right?
Let's see, they're 2-7 and they're 6-1. So
that's 8-8.
That's 8-8. So
500 as a coach. When's the last time that's happened in 16 games for a new Baylor coach?
Well, yeah, I mean, it says Matt Rule went 1-11.
Exactly, and Art Browse went 4-8, 4-8.
Yeah, so it took them both a while to get back to that.
That 500. Yeah. So it's just a game at this point, I think, for Paul in the decline button on the.
Yeah. Let's run down some scores. Again, Baylor over BYU 38-24. A&M beats Missouri 35-14. Alabama leads Mississippi State. 5 minutes left in the first quarter, 7-3. NC State 7, Boston College nothing. Boston College lost their quarterback Phil Yurkovich for the rest of the year, and so that's tough for a team that's 4-1 and was looking pretty good. Georgia was a little nicer to Kentucky than they were to everybody else, 30-13. But that's the best team in the country, and I would not want to play them for all of the money in the world. That would be tough.
I'd play them for all the money in the world. Come on.
But Purdue over Iowa. Number 2 Iowa goes down 24-7. Cincinnati might be number 2 in the country and should be number 2 in the country.
They
come Monday morning, just rolled past UCF 56-21.
It wasn't that close.
No, yeah. No, UCF scored touchdowns in the second, third and fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But it was not even.
It was over.
It was over. It was over at halftime. And Michigan State, number 10 in the country, on the way up, 20-15 over Indiana, who falls to 2-4. Oklahoma State charges back 16 points in the fourth quarter and shuts down Texas 32-24. Texas falls to 4-3 and will fall out of the poll. Auburn beats Arkansas, who falls to 4-3 and will fall out of the poll 38-23. LSU gives maybe a couple more days of life to Ed Orgeron, but dead man walking there anyway. But good for Coach O to get a win over the Gators, 49-42. Florida has a quarterback problem there.
The one that I would take Oklahoma State over Michigan State. I've watched it. I don't get the Michigan State love right now.
We'll see when Michigan State. They haven't played Michigan or Ohio State yet.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Indiana is 2-4.
Yeah, exactly.
and they win by 5. I mean, it's that was it was on the road, but still, I didn't get to watch that game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was a downpour or snowing in the Northeast. I don't know. Or in the Midwest.
So those are some scores from around the country. Also, in the top of the 8th inning in Houston, the Red Sox lead 9-3. They've hit 2 grand slams in that game early on.
Yeah, it's been a beatdown.
Yeah, and so best of luck to the Boston bullpen. If you're an Astros fan, I don't care.
That game is out of control.
Yeah.
So, but Alabama, Mississippi State was moving the ball well in Alabama. We were watching it earlier. TCU, Oklahoma's about to kick off, or they just now have kicked off, and that's going to be tell the tale is if what TCU happens there, if they can take care of Oklahoma again, or is there a hangover from beating Texas like that?
It'll be really, really interesting. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thank you to Coaches XXX Smoak and the Niche Group. Thanks to Armstrong Sims. Thanks to Brian Etheridge. Thanks to everybody who called, texted, and emailed, except for Baylor Bigfoot. All of you guys, thank you very much. Even thanks to you, Baylor Bigfoot, even though you're not getting through. This is Sigum 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Like and subscribe. Do it.
Hit the notification bell.